Good day, I'm Glenn O'Kray. I'm tied into the Dearborn Historical Community. I would like to welcome you to this wonderful show, Through the Arsenal Gates. Probably the best TV show in the universe, but you know that. This show gives you the opportunity to find out about people who have made history, are making history, and will make history with a focus on Dearborn. Before we get going with our first guest today, I'd like to make sure that you know about this wonderful book called Stories from the Sidewalk, the best book in the history of Western civilization. Make sure you get a copy. If you don't, I'm going to be knocking on your doors. Our guest today is Hanna, with no H at the end, Elayan. She's the office manager at the Dearborn Historical Museum. She's a delightful young lady, and I am just so tickled pink that she's on board. And she is the future of the museum. It's just great to have young people interested in history, and Hanna is a good example of what can come forth from the younger generation. So, Hanna, welcome aboard.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here.
Now, Hanna, tell us about the first time you were arrested. I had to throw that in. Her uncle is the police chief in Dearborn. So now she turned red because I threw her completely off her beat here. Hanna, tell us where you were born.
Okay. Well, I was not born in Dearborn, surprisingly. I was born in Detroit, Sinai Grace Hospital. And my birthday is October 17th. It's coming up pretty soon.
So was it a good delivery?
My mom would say no.
Okay. And you have nothing but pleasant memories.
Nothing but pleasant memories
Okay.
from what I can remember.
Hanna, tell us about your family.
My family. Well, my mom and dad, of course, and then I have two siblings, a younger sister, Maya, she's 3 years younger than me, and then my brother is 7 years younger than me, Zach.
So Hanna is the youngest person we've ever had on this show here. Now, what schools did you attend?
I started off K through 6 at Star International Academy. It's a charter school, so we had to wear a uniform and everything. I did enjoy that experience. It was good. And then we switched over to Riverside Middle School, and I spent a year at Crestwood High School, actually, my freshman year, and then I transferred over to Dearborn High because we moved, and that's where I graduated from. I currently go to Wayne State. I graduate in December with a bachelor's in anthropology, so I'm excited about that.
Wonderful. Now, were you a good student?
I like to think I was a good student.
What
but
kind of grades do you have?
Right now,
Well, start with high school.
high school was tricky. I did strive for good grades, and I got mostly A's and B's. The occasional C and D, but that's every student, I think. It was definitely physics that, the physics class brought me down.
Okay.
But other than that, I was overall a pretty good student.
All right. Now, what types of things were you interested in growing up?
Well, I was ever so curious, and I loved any opportunity that was set forth. So I like to try a bunch of different things, and thankfully I grew up with parents who wanted to put me in things like that. So I've done swimming, ice skating, gymnastics, all different kinds of sports, softball. And I know basketball is a comment that I get a lot because of my height, but I've never played basketball. I was just very interested in trying new things and doing everything.
Okay.
My mom has this story about when I was a kid. She put me in gymnastics, and I was the only student to climb to the top of the rope at my young age.
No, was it a foot off the ground?
You'd have to ask her. But I also did dance for a year.
How about hobbies?
Hobbies. I feel like those are all hobbies.
All right, okay, all right, very good. And how about the most influential person in your life? Who has that been?
My parents definitely influenced who I am, especially my mom. But I don't want to give all of the credit to them, you know? I feel like everybody that I've met or anybody that I run into or have an experience with, they influence me in some way, you know? And you can meet people and take things from them that you like or take things that you don't like and say, well, this is going to make me be this kind of person instead of another kind of person.
Okay. Now, what are your long-term career goals?
That's a great question. Because I'm graduating in December, I really have been thinking a lot about that. I like what I'm doing in my current position because it's more of like an operational sort of field. I would like to work as maybe like a manager or director of some other sort of business, preferably nonprofit. I love the nonprofit sector because I feel like no matter what I'm doing, it is benefiting a community or a people in some way. My pipe dream, though, National Geographic.
Cool.
National
Very
Geographic
good.
would be awesome.
Well, tell us a good anthropology story.
Okay. Well, cultural anthropology is really, really interesting because it's kind of learning about anthropology is learning about humans through space and time. So cultural anthropology is learning about human culture through space and time. So you get to go through all of these ancient civilizations and what did they value? What, as a collective society, were their practices religiously, or it's really interesting to kind of learn about and see the differences. And even in today's society, you can sit here and say, I have very cultural differences than you, and that can be generational, that can be ethnic wise, that can be just as a person, you know. But we still find ways to have things in common, and we've created our own culture at the museum. That's a culture in itself. That's a community, and it's a society, and there's a way that we do things, and it's just very interesting to kind of learn and notice all of these things.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is somebody who can think on her bottom anyhow. I would say on her feet, but she's not standing up here. So, when you were 12 years old, what did you think you wanted to do for a living?
So I had two dreams.
Okay.
My first one was to be a singer.
Will you sing a couple notes for us right now?
No.
Oh,
No.
come on.
I'm so okay on that. But
I'm very disappointed.
not today.
Okay.
But then my other dream was to be a scientist.
Oh.
Yeah. So it was either The Voice or scientist.
Okay. Right. Now, what advice would you give an 18-year-old trying to figure out what he or she wants to do with their life?
Well, to be fair, I'm only, 5 years older
Sure.
than that?
Yeah.
But looking back, I would say nothing in life is that serious. You don't have to have it all figured out. And you have time. You have plenty of time. Take every opportunity that comes your way.
I have a little cliche. It's life is too serious to be taken seriously. Anyhow,
I like that.
thanks. What's your philosophy of life?
Life is too serious to be taken seriously. No, my philosophy of life right now, at my current age and state, I would say that it's hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. Because, as I was saying earlier, I'm very much an opportunist. So I want to expect the best. I want to try things and hope that they work out in my favor, but I don't want to be completely let down if they don't. So it's definitely finding a balance between I'm going to put myself out there, but I'm not going to get my hopes up or get too excited about something and set my life on that path if it doesn't work out in my favor.
Okay. And Hannah, what are your values?
Do you want like a top 5?
Sure. How about a top 5?
Okay. Authenticity is a big one. I love when people are authentic to who they are. And you can learn a lot from them that way. And you can also gauge how much information you want to give them. But another one is integrity and humility and accountability. You have to be accountable for your actions. What would my last one be? Honesty.
My life could end right now. I think those are just wonderful.
Thank you. I hope your life doesn't end right now.
At least until the end of the show here. All right, in Dearborn, we have a diverse community.
Yes.
Is that good or bad?
I think it's a wonderful thing. I think it's a blessing to have such a melting pot of people in one place. Because as I was saying earlier, cultural anthropology, it's a wonderful thing to have. I have friends who their grandparents grew up here, and she went to college, one of my friends, and she was craving shawarma. If she didn't live in Dearborn, she probably wouldn't have had that experience. And that tied into her identity and what she likes and her interests. And I think it's a very unique thing that we have that here.
Yeah. Tidbit, one of my daughters really loves Arabic food, and she lives between Los Angeles and San Diego, and she never gets it in her area. So
It's
when
not
she
the same
comes
like
to visit Dearborn, she just loves it here.
Yeah.
What can we do to make everybody think they're part of the community?
Well, be inclusive is a very vague answer, but that's how. You just have to accept people for who they are. Don't make anybody feel ostracized. And try to include everybody. In this community especially, I feel like we need to treat each other with kindness and maybe an understanding of that's not necessarily how I do things, but that's how other people do things, and that's okay. You know, I can accept that. So maybe more of an acceptance.
Okay. You have a couple of jobs, and ladies and gentlemen, I just am always kind of, it bothers me that young people have to have a couple of jobs to get by on. But anyhow, Hannah, tell us about your jobs. You work at the museum, and you also work at the Henry Ford Mansion.
Yeah, the Fairlane Estate. Yep.
Okay, tell us about it.
Well, which would you like to hear first?
Tell us about your job at the museum.
Okay. Basically what I do there is, like I said, more on the operation side of things. I take care of the events, I take care of sales, I take care of interns and volunteers that may come in. I'm also the public face when people walk into the office. I greet them. I get to interact with all of these different people, and I think that's probably one of the highlights of that position is I get to hear all of these people's stories and their experiences and their likes and their dislikes and get to know who they are and how they tie into the community and how they tie into the historical museum. And usually with the Dearborn Historical Museum, people that walk into the office, they have business that needs to be handled there. So it's interesting to find where they fit into the museum world.
All right. Anything else that you'd like to share on the Dearborn Historical Museum? And everybody might not know where it's located.
So we have 2 locations. We're currently in the Commandant's Quarters, 21950 Michigan Avenue. And then our McFadden Ross House, Gardner House, and the office are over at 915 South Brady Street, Dearborn, Michigan.
Okay, all right, very good. Ladies and gentlemen, you might not be aware of this, but there had been a motel on the corner of Brady and Michigan. It ultimately became known as the Quality Inn, and this is the location where the Ford Mustang was designed. Henry Ford II was not in favor of the Mustang, so Lee Iacocca rented the second floor of the office at the motel, and that's where the design happened. So, a little tidbit there. All right. Tell us about the Henry Ford Mansion.
I have a very low role there. I'm just the visitor service associate. So I get to walk around and I get to greet people and impart the history of the house onto them. And
Low role. This is a major one. All right.
well, in the ranks, compared to my historical position, it's lower on the totem pole. So I get to talk and meet all of these interesting people, usually people who are waiting for the airport or who just came from the Henry Ford Museum, or people who had their wedding at the Fairlane Estate back in the 80s.
Oh.
So I get to meet so many different and interesting folks, and I get to share historical facts that I didn't even know until I started working there,
Sure.
which is really interesting. When I first started there, I was just in awe of the estate itself and being able to walk inside, because growing up in the area, of course I've been over there, but I've never been inside of the building. I would just walk the trails as most do today. But when I started there and I had the opportunity to get a tour of the inside, it's stunning. Yeah, the library is filled with books, Henry Ford's personal books, and they have a music room and a billiard room and a pool room, and it's everything that you would expect someone with money to have. But there are little things that, because of course I know all of the history, so you may not, but Henry Ford grew up as a farm kid. So there are rooms in the house that are very reminiscent of that farm life, and you'll come to find out that that's where he spent most of his time when he was home.
Cool.
Yeah.
Give us a couple of fun facts about the mansion.
Okay, a couple fun facts about the mansion. They have a bowling alley in the basement, and that was installed to keep their son Edsel home for a little bit longer because he wanted to move out, as well as the billiard room that used to be Clara's study, and they transformed it into the billiard room for Edsel to keep him there, and he left anyway a year later.
I can recall as a kid our going over to the mansion, and it wasn't taken care of. And it was, in retrospect, really kind of upsetting that we don't value old buildings as we should. And here is the home of one of the most influential people in the world, and for a long while it was just ignored. Anyhow, so you recently gave a talk about Thomas Edison.
Yes, I did.
Did it go over well?
I personally think it went really well, yeah.
Tell us some good information about Thomas Edison.
I could give you the whole lecture right here, right now.
Well, give us some highlights.
Okay. He saved a boy's life on the train tracks, and in return, that boy was a son of a station head or station master that Edison worked for at the time, and he taught him how to use the telegraph, and that got him to be that got him a lot of telegraph jobs over the area, and he was able to tinker with a lot of different information. So that was really cool. And he kept trying to find ways to improve the telegraph, because Edison and his inventive mind. So,
Tell us more.
okay. He called his two kids Dot and Dash as their nicknames
I love it.
to go with Morse code.
Sure.
And he was a very hard worker. He rarely spent time at home. And at the estate, he was often found with Henry Ford in the laboratory over there. Henry Ford was a big Edison fan,
Absolutely.
huge Edison fan.
Yeah.
And then they became business partners, which was really cool as well. Edison actually laid the cornerstone to the powerhouse of the Fairlane estate and at the Henry Ford Museum, which I'm pretty sure is still on display over there.
It is, yeah. Now, do you respect Thomas Edison?
Do I respect Thomas
Yes,
Edison?
yeah.
I think he was a good businessman.
Consider the 5 values you came up with earlier.
Yes.
Would you say that they coincided with Edison's?
I think that Edison had there was a lot of problematic things that ensued when it comes to Edison, but like electrocuting animals for propaganda purposes.
Huh?
That was during the whole current war between Tesla and Edison. But
Everybody might not be plugged into it, and I am just scratching the surface. Tell us about that conflict between Tesla and Edison.
okay, so Tesla had actually worked for Edison before going off on his own, and he kept trying to push Edison to start using alternative current, AC electricity. But Edison was very stubborn and stuck in his ways, and he said, no, direct current is the way to go, and he was very passionate about it. He also had a lot of money behind it. So it was direct current, and we're going to find ways to improve DC electricity, and we're not going to do anything with AC electricity. And Tesla was not having that, so he stopped working for Edison and started working on his own for AC electricity. And he got a banker behind him. I believe it was Westinghouse. Westinghouse and Tesla were working together. Westinghouse was funding it. At the time, Westinghouse was doing luxury appliances. So he was kind of ready to step into that world of electricity. And J.P. Morgan was working behind Edison. He was the one funding Edison. So we have these two monopoly men who just want these two inventors to make them more money. So they will do what they can to win the current war.
Okay. The current war.
That's what it's called, the current war, because electrical currents.
Got it. Yeah.
So
Do you have any other lectures coming up?
I do. I have another lecture coming up in December, and it's going to be talking about Prohibition in Detroit.
Very good.
Yeah.
Now, Hannah, tell us about some of the programs that the museum has that you've been involved in.
So one of the biggest programs is our Pioneer School program, and that takes place March to June, and it's all of the second graders in the Dearborn Public School District, and they get to do their field trips with us, and it's really exciting. It's a lot of hard work to get that all set up, but with the help of the school board and my coworkers, we're able to make it happen. Yeah, and volunteers. Volunteers are very, very necessary to make sure that the program runs. I don't want to forget that.
That is such a cool program, and one of the things that I just find enjoyable is the fact that we have a second generation people coming in with their kids, and they say, I participated in this when I was a kid. All right, so tell us about some other programs that the museum has.
I recently organized our teddy bear picnic. That happened in June, and that was just a fun day for families and kids. And we had our state rep, Aaron Burns, as a judge, as well as our councilwoman, Leslie Herrick. And they get to judge the teddy bears, and then the kids get prizes or baskets, and it's really fun for the kids. This year we had snow cones, and I was able to march with Rudy in the parade, which was really fun. But it's really just about seeing all of the work that I've put in and how it's benefiting these kids and these families and seeing their enjoyment from it.
Wonderful. And getting them involved in...
Getting them involved in the museum.
Right,
Yeah,
very
definitely.
good, good. Tell the audience where they can find out about upcoming activities at the museum.
All right. You can find us at the Dearborn Historical Museum website, thedhm.org, or our Facebook, Dearborn Historical Museum. Same with our Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Yeah.
Very good. Now, how would you describe the role of women in America today?
We've made a lot of progress as a society for women up to this point. But with that being said, there is still much progress to be made. If we hadn't made the progress we had, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you right now, you know? Yeah, we have to give a lot of credit to the women that put themselves out there and sacrificed a lot for the women of today.
Do you think men and women are treated equally today?
I think there's a difference between equality and equity. I think women have more opportunities now in the workplace, especially with men. That doesn't mean that there aren't still expectations or that doesn't mean everything's okay, you know? In the same sense that men should also be allowed to break out of that traditional role and be able to express emotions and stay at home with their child. Women should also be able to break out of that traditional role. And I think the society today is becoming more increasingly aware of that. I do think that there's still a long way to go. We'll see what happens in the future.
Hanna, what do you hope to be doing 10 years from now?
How old will I be? Will I be old enough to retire yet? No, I would like to be a director of some sort, or like running some sort of something. But as long as it's benefiting a community and a people. Like the museum, I did not expect what I got when I started working at the museum. Just the sense of community there makes it worth it, but also being able to have the role that I do have and the wiggle room that I'm allowed, that I think that's amazing.
Hanna, what do you want people to say about you when you move to the next life?
Well, of course I would want them to acknowledge what I said about my values, that I was authentic, and that I was kind, and that I was accountable, and that I was hardworking and humble. I would want people to remember me for my values.
Very good. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this show with Miss Hanna Elayan, the office manager at the Dearborn Historical Museum. If you enjoyed the show, tell all your friends and relatives. If you didn't enjoy the show, just keep it to yourself. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Hanna.
Yeah, thank you.